Get down, face down!
You up, man? Who the first thing I ain't doing?
The courtroom is supposed to be a place of order, justice, and civility. But sometimes emotions run so high that chaos breaks loose. In the very room where justice is decided, tempers flare and control is shattered in an instant. Today we dive into the most shocking and unpredictable moments when lawyers, symbols of the legal system, became the targets of sudden violence. These aren't just outbursts, they're explosive confrontations that left entire courtrooms stunned. Meet Ricky Hand, a repeat offender from Ohio who was facing several robbery-related charges.
You just give me 40 years, sir. Yes. You just gave me 40 years. Well, guess what?
One late evening in April 2016, the owner of John's Drive-Thru was wrapping up for the night, unaware that his business was about to be the next target. Hand, aged 46 at the time and well-known in the criminal circuit, attempted to rob the establishment. But things didn't go as he planned. Thanks to surveillance footage, the store owner saw Hand coming and armed himself in advance. As Hand approached, the owner opened fire, forcing him to flee. Immediately afterward, the business owner dialed 911.
911 emergency.
Yeah, this is John's Drive-Thru, West Main Street. A guy just tried to rob me and I shot him. He ran out the back door.
Okay, is he injured?
I think I hit him.
Police tracked Hand down to a nearby hospital where he had gone to treat his injuries and where he was promptly taken into custody. Later, Hand owned up to the attempted robbery. He also admitted to carrying out several other robberies. Eventually, Hand pleaded guilty to 7 counts related to the robberies and was handed a 40-year prison sentence.
I'm going to prison for a long time.
Well, you know that.
But Hand didn't take the verdict well. What he did next stunned everyone present. Right after learning his fate, Hand pulled out hidden pill bottles that were filled with human waste and hurled them at his own defense attorney. Courtroom officers immediately restrained him. Because of this vile behavior, he was slapped with even more charges, including harassment involving bodily fluids, obstruction of justice, and retaliation. Now, while Ricky Hand's disgusting courtroom stunt left everyone in shock, it still begs the question, how does that compare to straight-up punching your own lawyer? Take the case of Christopher Teal, who appeared in a Seattle courtroom in King County on sexual assault charges. Back in May 2018, Teal, who was homeless at the time, reportedly followed a woman into the bathroom at a Volkswagen dealership and assaulted her. The attack came to an abrupt end when dealership staff forced their way in and stopped him. Teal was arrested and charged with first-degree sexual assault and unlawful. During a hearing to evaluate his mental competency, Teal was represented by attorney Reed Birkland. At first, Teal seemed oddly amused. He even lifted his arm toward his lawyer but was stopped by an alert court officer. Then out of nowhere, Teal exploded. Without any warning, he swung at his attorney and landed a punch. Fortunately, court staff intervened immediately.
Get down, face down!
Teal was quickly subdued and a spit hood was placed over his head before he was escorted out of the courtroom. The next time he appeared in court, the staff made sure there would be no repeat performance. Ultimately, Teal was sentenced to 8.5 years behind bars for the original charges. Now, while Teal's violent outburst could possibly be chalked up to mental health issues, while David St. John's outrageous courtroom behavior was certainly jaw-dropping, it pales in comparison to the deeply disturbing trial of Taylor Schabusiness, who stood accused of a gruesome murder in Green Bay, Wisconsin. On February 23, 2022, the 25-year-old reportedly strangled and mutilated her boyfriend, Shad Therian, during what was described as a drug-fueled intimate encounter. The horrifying details didn't end there. Shad had been strangled with a metal chain, and his dismembered body was later discovered in his mother's home, specifically in the basement. What made the discovery even more chilling was that Schabusiness left Shad's severed head inside a bucket, while other body parts were scattered throughout the house in totes, plastic bags, and boxes. It was Shad's mother, Tara, who stumbled upon the horrific scene and called authorities. Officers quickly arrived on the scene and followed blood trails leading outside the home.
Is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint?
Once inside, they realized the full extent of the brutality.
I had Officer Plunky come downstairs and just verify we had in fact found a human head in the bucket. And then we started to notify a supervisor and then ask for additional units.
Shad Business was swiftly apprehended. During her interrogation, she opened up about what unfolded that night. She and Shad had engaged in extreme sexual practices. Things quickly escalated. She admitted that while high on drugs, she hadn't noticed Shad was turning purple. By the time she realized he was dying, she chose not to stop. In fact, she admitted she decided to kill him and even confessed to deriving pleasure from it.
I think I went a little too far because I was blacking out while I was doing it, right? And then I look at him, I'm like, shit, he's very purple. I'm like, I don't know if he's fucking, is he good? Is he good? But then when I woke up, during the blackout, I'm like, shit.
What followed was even more horrifying. After Shad had died, she continued to sexually violate his corpse for several hours. She then used kitchen knives from his mother's house to dismember his body. Eventually, she loaded the body parts into her van, but in a chilling sign of her carelessness, she left the severed head behind, still sitting in a bucket. Shad Business was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, corpse mutilation, and third-degree sexual assault. In court, investigators gave a harrowing description of the crime scene. Despite the unimaginable brutality of the crime, Shad Business's behavior during the trial managed to leave the courtroom stunned once more. In a sudden outburst, she launched herself at her own defense attorney and attacked him. It took 2 deputies to restrain her.
Stop it. Stop it.
From that point on, she had to attend court wearing a spit mask and leg shackles. Eventually, she was found guilty on all counts and sentenced to life imprisonment with no chance of parole. And while the Shad Business trial was filled with horrifying moments, Percy Phillips, who found himself in legal trouble for retaliating against a witness. Previously, Phillips had already disrupted courtroom proceedings during an earlier trial by lashing out at someone who testified against him. Now he was back, and this time the court was determining whether he was even mentally fit to stand trial. As the hearing began, his defense attorney explained to the judge that Phillips wasn't cooperating or communicating in any meaningful way, making it impossible to build a proper defense. The attorney even warned that Phillips could act out again. Then, while the prosecutor was in the middle of presenting his argument, things took a turn. Without warning, Phillips, who had remained completely expressionless up to that point, suddenly erupted. A court officer reacted swiftly, deploying a stun gun that sent Phillips crashing to the floor, even as he lay there stunned and dazed. Phillips wasn't done yet. Although Percy Phillips got jolted for his dramatic outburst, how does that compare to a defendant who clocks their lawyer right in the face? Now let's examine Lamont Payne, who was on trial in Phoenix, Arizona for attacking a correctional officer while in custody. According to reports, Payne had been causing trouble inside his cell. He blocked his windows and poured soapy water on the floor to make it slippery. When officers tried to extract him, he bit one of them on the ankle. Public defender Vladimir Gajic was appointed to represent Payne during his court proceedings. During the hearing, Payne attempted to communicate with his lawyer, but Gajic appeared unresponsive. Payne then turned to the judge, trying to get her attention as well. The judge cautioned him against speaking out of turn, but the warnings didn't seem to calm him. As tensions escalated, the judge ordered deputies to escort Payne out of the courtroom. That's when the situation spiraled. As Payne stood to collect his things, he unexpectedly lunged forward and sucker punched his attorney in the face. Officers tackled him immediately and removed him from the room. Attorney Gajic suffered a bloody nose and visible facial injuries, but ultimately chose not to press charges.
I can go for it, and I'm not going to press any charges.
While Payne certainly lived up to his name by bringing pain to his lawyer, what happens when a defendant turns and blindsides an attorney in the middle of court? William Green. Take the case of William Green, who appeared in Broward County Bond Court in Florida on charges tied to assault. Police reported that 27-year-old Green had previously been taken into custody for attacking a staff member at a mental health facility. Now in the courtroom, Green waited for his bond hearing while public defender Julie Chase was representing a different individual.
Based on the requests from both attorneys, I will sign that order to send him to a Baker Act facility.
Then out of nowhere, Green made a shocking move. Without warning, Green casually approached the bench and struck Chase in the side of the head with his fist. Courtroom officers immediately restrained Green, bringing him to the ground before escorting him out. As a result of the outburst, Green received more charges for battery. Fortunately for Attorney Chase, she was unharmed in the incident. William Green clearly demonstrated how wild things can get in a courtroom, and just when you think you've seen it all, someone else ups the ante. Melissa Hardwick. Enter Melissa Hardwick, who showed up in a Kentucky courtroom for a hearing involving domestic violence. Back in 2011, her former husband had requested a domestic violence protection order against her. While he was presenting his side of the story, Melissa started interrupting the proceedings. Initially, Judge Jennifer Edwards gave her a verbal warning, but Melissa ignored it, prompting the judge to find her in contempt and sentence her to 10 days behind bars. That's when the situation turned downright chaotic. Melissa jumped up in an attempt to lunge at the judge. But security was able to intervene before she made contact. Still, that didn't stop her from hurling verbal threats across the courtroom.
Wipe the face. You. You'll be sad when it happens, Jennifer.
Her disruptive behavior earned her even more criminal charges. In the end, Melissa Hardwick was handed a 120-day jail sentence for her courtroom behavior. While her punishment was relatively light considering she tried to attack a judge, what happens when someone actually tries to kill in court? Consider the case of Joshua Harding, who stood trial in Michigan for charges related to sexual assault. Reports say that the 35-year-old was convicted of assaulting a minor in Ingham County. During the sentencing hearing, just moments before the judge was set to announce the ruling, Harding made a bold and violent move. As everyone stood in anticipation of the verdict, Harding pulled a homemade weapon from his sleeve and lunged at Assistant Prosecutor Jonathan Roth. Luckily, he missed. Security officers rushed in to restrain Harding, while Roth managed to grab the weapon that nearly ended his life and moved it safely away. Harding faced new charges of attempted murder following the ambush, and he later entered a guilty plea. In addition to his original sentence for sexual assault, Joshua Harding was also given an extra 30 to 60 years behind bars for his attack, while Jonathan Roth narrowly avoided serious harm. From verbal threats to full-blown physical assaults, these courtroom attacks on lawyers show just how volatile the pursuit of justice can become. When emotions, trauma, and rage collide within the four walls of a courtroom, even those meant to uphold the law aren't safe. These moments serve as a chilling reminder. In high-stakes trials, danger doesn't always come from outside. It can erupt right in front of the bench.